So that's all happy now, and Lydia resolves to live a better life, get more in touch with her kid. Delia and Charles reunite in the afterlife and head to the great beyond, and start doing whatever they're doing over there. Lydia's still haunted by like visions of Beetlejuice because we're seeding for a potential trilogy. I guess I don't know, maybe.
And we get some on-site filming at Brom Castle.
Mick, what did you think of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice?
Overall, I thought it was all right. It's definitely a sequel, if that makes sense. It's definitely a sequel. But they did what they could do for a sequel, because I feel like Beetlejuice was a very much standalone movie. It's hard to come up with something that would extend it. And if you do, great, which I was thoroughly entertained. How I approach movies is I will watch it, and the question you have to ask yourself was, are you entertained? Yes, no. The next question is, would you watch it again? Now, Beetlejuice 2, I probably would watch it again. I wouldn't seek it out. But I actually do. I had a thought about what MGM Linus was talking about, that children's choir at the funeral. My first thought was, how many versions, like choral versions of the song have already been sung? Because that would have been hilarious to me if I went to my children's choir concert. Future children is what I'm talking about. And they were just doing Deo. I thought that would have been hilarious.
I want to do a slightly more Peter Pan or Pan kind of a thing, where at my funeral I want a children's choir to be singing "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Oh, that would have been funny.
How dare you?
I want to see.
No. You people have to understand. He's referencing a movie.
Oh, we know.
That was terrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how I want to go out, with a terrible movie reference. Keep going, Mick.
The costumes in this movie were fantastic. Of course, Beetlejuice is back in his original, cool jacket, whatnot. But Dolores' outfit, especially when she first puts herself back together, I thought was super hot. When she's in that black lace robe.
Let me just say this now. I don't care how much or how little Monica Bellucci did in this movie. As I said at the end of the Yawn trial, I will watch Monica Bellucci read the phone book. She's top 3. It's her, Callie Thorne, Selma Hayek. God's perfect women. Keep going.
Yeah, but also whenever Lydia's on her little TV show, her dress was fantastic. That was a beautiful dress she seems to she definitely has the an older wardrobe, which would be something more, I guess, age appropriate is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
But she still has that gothic aspect to it. Like her jacket that she wears at the funeral has this long train. That's awesome. And then her kid is more of that punk style. So that I liked that contrast between, and that goes to my next point, is the contrast between Jenna Ortega's character and Lydia. They made them different enough so that the plot can actually develop and have that conflict between both of them. But they have similarities in the factor of once everything was over, then they can come back together, and they only have each other.
All right. Let me jump in here. I said on the on trial, I hope we get a Top Gun Maverick. We're most likely going to end up getting The Crow 2024. Wrong on both counts. We got something squarely in the middle. It was, the better side of good. I have a few complaints about the movie, but overall, I had a broad smile on my face watching, especially the last third of it. The stuff in the beginning and the middle, I was like, oh no, where is this going? But it rights the ship by the end, and by the end of it, I was walking out with my kids, and my daughter going, "What did you think of the movie, Dad?" And I'm like, "It's fine, Lily, it's fine. I liked it. You're good. You're safe." And then my son going, "But Father, you hate everything. What are we to talk about?" And I'm like, "Oh, we'll deal with it in the car, Jonas." I was like, I'll pull you to the side later, tell you what I hated. But I said overall, I genuinely enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the viewing experience of it. It's not perfect, but for the most part, it was better than what I expected. And I think the best thing about this movie is that it doesn't focus on Beetlejuice. Much like the first movie, which I talked about in the On Trial, the movie is about Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin's relationship to this house. the loss of their child, the found family that they create with Lydia. That's what the movie is. Beetlejuice is sort of almost like an antecedent to the whole thing, and only really shows up at the end. They kept that structure and those themes with this movie, which I was thrilled about. This is about Lydia and Astrid reconnecting. This is about mothers and daughters, and that's what the movie focused on, which I liked. Winona Ryder's acting, it was like the direction she got was, look like you've got a bad case of Montezuma's Revenge. The whole movie, just you can't. Every shot needs to be you're trying to not shit your pants. I don't know what the hell she's doing with her face for most of this movie, but Winona Ryder used to be an actress. I mean, she's actually like not making those faces, and she's giving dialogue and performing. She's quite good. She's certainly believable as the character she's playing. But yeah, a couple of times in the movie, I feel like she's making a face, and everybody around her is just still acting. And we're like, "What are you, fucking wax museum? What are you doing over here? Wake up! Hey, react, Winona Ryder, react." This is the line Jorian said, "Or work the arms, you asshole, or Tim Burton puppet is broken." That's how I felt about Winona Ryder. I enjoyed Jenna Ortega's performance in this. We talked during the Abigail podcast that there were 3 contenders for new Scream Queen, and we decided it was Mia Goth. I'm going to double down on that and say not only is Jenna Ortega not the new Scream Queen, but what she's really good at is being a young, smart person, not necessarily being like a horror icon. She plays, and it's a talent, and I need to point this out, because her kind of character, and Robert, I'm sure, is like ready to jump up and say, yeah, her character can be shrill and awful and off-putting in the hands of most modern writers.
Yep.
It was a deft hand. They managed to avoid that. She's actually quite likable, and her character is sympathetic. Like, you understand why she's as aggravated as she is at the whole situation. And when it was time for her to make a change, given the right stimuli, she makes that change, and she pulls it off really, really well. So I applaud to Jenna Ortega for playing a bright young lady who isn't a complete asshole. Bravo. The only other thing, the couple of things I didn't love. I love the fact that Monica Bellucci's in the movie, because I'm a sexist pig. However,
honesty is the best policy, folks.
I lean into my faults and display them proudly. However, her character was utterly pointless, and it was like they wrote the script, and Tim Burton's like, it's a little light. Oh, I guess we need stuff for Beetlejuice to do. He is in the fucking movie after all. So like her entire plot line with Beetlejuice seemed completely unnecessary and just thrown in there to beef things up a bit and give people something else to watch.
You do know that Tim Burton and Bellucci are dating, right?
That tracks.
Yeah.
What it needed was a twist when she shows up, and it's like, no, Beetlejuice is actually the asshole the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It needed something like that to kind of justify its position.
It's very flat. But I have other problems with it. Not the least of which was her entire invention as a character comes from a gag from the first movie where he pulls the ring off a finger, and she meant nothing to me. Which, as I said at the on trial, that line is supposed to be, like a baby come back. You can blame it all on me. Like he's been caught cheating, and he's like, oh, she meant nothing. Come back. I need you to make sandwiches. Like, that's what he's going for there. It's a throwaway gag, and that's all you needed. But like, we live in the post-Han Solo era where everything needs a fucking explanation. So now we can't just have a throwaway gag. The throwaway gag has to be its own fucking character. Ugh, I hated it. I was like, on the one hand, I like Monica Bellucci. On the other hand, I hate everything about her character. It really bothered me. Then they don't do anything with it. She's just a ghoul chasing Beetlejuice for the entire fucking movie like it's a Benny Hill sketch. Blah. So lastly, and then I'll throw it over to you, Alexis. As much as I enjoyed the theme and I liked the main storyline of what was going on with this family, this also felt like episodes of the Beetlejuice Netflix TV show. It felt very disjointed. It felt like it was a very busy movie. There was a lot going on, and they do their level best to sort of wind things up at the end and bring it all together. But I don't think it sticks the landing. I think it's kind of a very busy dance routine where at the end someone fell off the mat, and it's like 6.5. Your witness, ma'am.
So, kind of piggybacking off of what you're talking about with Dolores as a character, I agree with you because unfortunately, I feel that her being in the film also dampens the character of Jeremy. That's the dead boy.
Yeah.
Who I think could have been a really, really good villain.
Right.
The actor was good. He was very charming. I like what MGM Linus said about the whole American Horror Story. I was thinking the same thing. And if this movie was made 10 years ago, they would have cast Evan Peters in this role.
I can tell I'm getting tired or older or both because I read that line earlier when I put it up, and I read it as American Werewolf in London. I'm like, he kind of does look like that actor. Boy.
Well, he actually does, but he looks like Evan Peters too.
What an old man moment that was.
And I love the scene with him leading Astrid in. You see his parents, but they're not turning around, and then you see them later with the weapons and benefits. That was really good. And I was really hoping we were going to get some good stuff here. Yeah, and even the scene where Beetlejuice catches him. What's the line? As Dostoevsky. Wow, I can't say.
Dostoevsky.
As Dostoevsky said, "Later, fucker." That I'm surprised I heard that the audience was laughing so damn hard.
That was the best line, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
To put a fuck in there.
They had to. They put one fuck in the first Beetlejuice. They knew that's why when he says "what the fuck" in the chapel, it's censored. It's like, no, you can only get away with one. I liked it, but the death felt quick and underwhelming because we didn't get to spend that much time with him. I feel like we should have just cut Dolores entirely and had Jeremy be the main antagonist.
Completely agree.
The whole idea of him stealing Astrid, the way he tricks her, saying you get to see your dad again, which kind of lines up nicely with the Beetlejuice musical. Because again, Lydia in the musical is very torn about wanting to see her mother. One of the reasons she befriends the ghosts is that she's like, wait, so ghosts are real. So my mother could still be around. That's her big thing. So I feel like they channeled that a little into Astrid. So that's my biggest complaint with this is that it's like, sorry, Burton, I know your girlfriend's gorgeous, but cut Dolores and make Jeremy the solo antagonist. Him and have Justin Theroux's character as a minor antagonist. Go with that.
Yeah.
But on the positives, Michael Keaton steals every scene he's in. It is really amazing to see after all these years, he is still just as funny, just quick, and he still brings all that gross out charm is the phrase I'm going to go with for Beetlejuice.
Oh, that was something really quick because you triggered the memory of something I really hated about this movie. And I mentioned like we're living in the post-Han Solo era where everything needs an origin, everything needs an explanation. We're also living in, and I've been dying to say this so that Robert can chime in, because I was thinking about this earlier. We are living in. I had to explain to my kids over sandwiches the Kobayashi Maru.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Mick,
have you seen Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan?
Or have you seen the...
Shut up. Mick, have you seen Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan?
I don't think so. My mom was a Trekkie, so I've watched some of them, but I don't remember any of it.
Top 10 greatest movie of all time. Go watch it. Here's the thing with The Wrath of Khan. It's about getting older. It's about death. It's about learning to accept the things you cannot control. Much again, like death. In this, not to spoil it for you, but there's a scene where Spock sacrifices himself to save the Enterprise. And it's the first time Kirk has to deal with the no-win scenario. It's the first time he has to really deal with a loss.
Right. No, I do remember. At least I remember that scene. I remember that whole end bit.
Yeah.
But
So in the beginning of Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, they talk about the Kobayashi Maru and that Kirk is famous for having beaten the no-win scenario. And how does he beat the no-win scenario? He cheats. He reprograms a stupid thing so that it's possible to save the crew and beat the Klingons. So now here's the thing. So I'm going to put this on screen real quick. So here's the thing. They never show you the Kobayashi Maru. It's a story they tell to set up a character beat for James Kirk about his inability to deal with loss. He has to win at all costs. And then when there's nothing he can do to save Spock, he isn't prepared for it. That's the strength of the whole thing. There's a reason why I'm explaining all of this. So dumbasses in the future will make a Star Trek movie called Star Trek with Chris Pine, where because we are run by autistic toddlers, they have to show you the Kobayashi Maru. So it's no longer left to your imagination. You now get to see this stupid thing, and it's a completely botched scene, way misunderstood and poorly done in the Chris Pine Star Trek movie. And here we are again. And I love this because Shay was on the last podcast talking about, like, I think he was like a car salesman, right? Like, yeah, he's probably like a shitty car salesman from the 50s. Nope, apparently he's not. And that's the thing. It's like, it was much more fun. And it's the point that I'm trying to get to. It was much more fun to imagine where Beetlejuice might have come from, that he would act the way that he does in Beetlejuice. So, like all good movie directors in the 21st century, they ruin it for you. And they go, here's his fucking origin. You happy now, you nerds? And
I like Shay's better, honestly. I like Shay's. When you think that everything he says is a lie.
Go ahead.
I did like the joke. Our wedding was traditional. We drank each other's blood, bit the head off some chickens, and sacrificed a goat.
Right.
And the fact that he delivers the whole thing in a foreign language, that was funny.
In my head, Beetlejuice is just like Willy Wonka after he dies.
My point is, like, that's why I hated the bit in the movie where they show you Beetlejuice's origin story, because we don't need this. We don't need to. I think Dorian said it on either Prometheus or Beetlejuice. It's much more fun, like in Halloween, to not know where the horror came from. To where does Michael Myers come from? Who knows? Who cares? We just know that this is the night that he came home and he's killing all the babysitters. Perfect. We don't need to know where Beetlejuice came from, and it kind of ruins it that we now do. Go ahead, Alexis.
I'll just say, I've often said the scariest things in the world are not what you see, it's what you don't see.
Right. So they Kobayashi Maru'd Beetlejuice, and we're worse off for it. I cut you off. I just needed to get that out.
Okay. So, but yes, Michael Keaton is, like I said, I love that he has not lost a step. I thought Winona Ryder was fine as Lydia. I appreciate that this movie was about her. I was worried that until a few days before I saw the movie, I was really worried they were going to overuse Beetlejuice. Yeah. And again, I am very glad that Burton and Keaton agreed he cannot be in the movie more than he was in the first one, because they're right. You can't. If this movie had been all about him, it would have sucked.
Yeah, that was my fear, is that they were going to do the other stupid thing that we do in modern movies, which is, not know why things are popular and then think we do, and that's what we make the movie, and it ruins it.
Yeah, that's the Men in Black 2 approach.
It's a lot of movies that are like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that. And again, I'm also glad they didn't make the movie completely about Astrid. I was worried because Jenna Ortega is a very up and coming actress. She is a good actress, and she's also kind of one of Burton's new muses, and she's the star of Wednesday. She's good in that show.
Can I tell you how this movie and seeing Jenna Ortega in this actually made me kind of want to watch Wednesday? I won't, because I refuse at this point. But I was moderately curious based on the strength of her performance.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one in the network who saw Wednesday.
You are.
I love Wednesday. Mark, I think you should watch it if you haven't, just to see.
I think you should do a podcast review on it.
Okay. I'm down. I'll tell you what, Mick. I never got to do a TV party tonight for Wednesday because I literally couldn't get anyone.
Yeah. Well, by the way, we're kind of the little rascals here. And it's the He-Man She-Woman haters.
It's just He-Man woman haters. Mark.
He-Man woman haters. I keep confusing that. Anyway.
Yeah, so, no, seriously, Mick, for the longest time, I was the only woman on this podcast.
So Alexa's like, anyone want to review the show about women? We're all like throwing tomatoes at her and shit.
No, we'll definitely do that then. We have to now.
Oh, so you should have seen the reactions when Mark and I did the She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
Yes.
Well, it's a terrible show. So
shut up.
Oh no.
Wasn't a terrible show.
I enjoyed our reviews with Sabrina. I enjoyed our reviews of She-Ra. I'm just not doing them anymore. So.
Well, yeah, because both shows are over, and Sabrina.
I don't want to do shows like that anymore. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Sabrina completely tripped to the finish line.
Look, what Mark's waiting for another 2 years when he can foist all of those podcasts onto his daughter.
Okay, so like I mentioned before, I love Tim Burton's movies. But I agree that there is a problem when the style overwhelms the substance. Like with his take on with Alice in Wonderland, it's not Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. It's Alice in Wonderland as visualized by Tim Burton, and it becomes too much. I love when he gets to make movies like this where his style works in the movie's favor.
I got to interject there because that's the other thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned, and I'll just say it really quickly. I now realize what I hate about Tim Burton is he, like George Lucas, Wes Anderson, Stanley Kubrick, they're great filmmakers because film is a visual medium and they are master craftsmen at creating memorable visuals. They also are clearly on the spectrum, all of them, because none of them seem to understand how people work. And I need both. I need, Denis Villeneuve's Dune seems to be one of the best examples in recent history of somebody who understands how people operate, but can also create a visual spectacle where both are on equal footing. That's what I'm looking for. I can't do too much style over substance. I can't do much visuals over relationships. It's boring for me. And that's just me. I'm not speaking for everybody, but that's why I struggle with the Tim Burton stuff, because it is, look at this pretty painting. But Dorian said, every frame a painting, terrific. What about the people? Fuck the people. Ugh. Okay, I'm done with you and all of this.
No, you're not wrong. But when there are a few Burton's films, and it's usually the ones that he has written and directed himself, where he can really work with his style. The original Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Corpse Bride.
I gotta sit down and watch Edward Scissorhands one day, because apparently that was like peak Tim Burton.
Yes, very much so. It is a brilliant film. It is so beautiful.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
I avoided it like the plague. It looked dumb as shit.
Watch it with your kids. No, I'm serious. I think Lily would love it.
Well, at some point, I'm gonna do a triple feature focusing on Tim Burton, and that's gonna be the key picture in it. All right,
you're gonna have me on that, right?
Sure. Me too.
All right, already. Jesus is turning.
You brought on another Tim Burton fanatic. What did you expect was gonna happen?
I'm dressed as Lydia, man.
The other two just have to be Planet of the Apes and Ed Wood.
We've done both of those. You work on this network. You know this. Attend a staff meeting every once in a while.
So, yes, this is a movie where Burton is in his wheelhouse. His style matches the substance, so it doesn't feel like one is overwhelming the other. The visuals are gorgeous. One of the things I also really love is how obviously they use CGI for all the special effects, but majority of them, they work to make it look like they're still claymation. And I really appreciate that, because I feel it helps keep this movie feeling like a real sequel to Beetlejuice. I felt that if they had gone more stylistic CGI, it wouldn't have felt like Beetlejuice. So I like the scene with the sandworm. It's like, obviously that's CGI, but they made it look like claymation, and I love that they did that.
Yeah, they kept the spirit of the craftsmanship of the first movie alive. Robert. Mm-hmm. All right, buddy, you're up to bat. Nail it over the fence for me. Hit a passerby. Destroy the blimp.
Any other bizarre references you want to throw out there?
I will gladly interrupt you if I think of any.
Fair enough.
Why not? He interrupted me 3 times.
You're goddamn right. I told you were going to get punished if you interrupted the plot synopsis. Go ahead, Robert.
I don't have a whole lot here. Look, I'm not the biggest Tim Burton fan to begin with, so a lot of I appreciate his style. Like, there are certain filmmakers or franchises whose success and popularity confuses me. Like, I don't get it. I understand Burton. I understand the appeal. So I'm not left miffed by people like kind of being attracted to some of his work. This movie is. I also was trying to figure out, like, why was this so successful? Partially because there's nothing else. I can just be very real about that. Partially because, like, when was the last time you just had like a PG-13 comedy? Just unabashed, straightforward, madcap style comedy.
That's in the theater. It's been a while because all that shit goes to Netflix now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Turns out there's an audience for it. Now, the downside to that for the individual viewer is if this sense of humor doesn't hit for you, this movie is a chore. And this is not necessarily my brand of humor all the way through. So I got a few chuckles, but it means that as the presentation, as the sequence of events is slapdashing around, hopping back and forth between three disparate points, you kind of just get lost in the sauce a little bit. And you're just like, we're back here already. And well, that joke kind of worked, but that one didn't. And why are you stupid? Of course, the kid's dead. And just more stuff like that. Yeah, Dorian bringing up Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy would have been one of the last ones that
And without an
kind of,
exaggeration, isn't that about 20 years ago?
yeah, give or take. It's been a bit. Not 20, but certainly 12. I'd have to double check. It's probably closer to 20. So this is a style of film that's kind of been a little bit absent from the theatrical experience. And if this stuff lands for you, it's really good. I'm not surprised people had a good time. A few other people in the theater when I saw it, and they seemed to have a good time. So, thumbs up on that. There's a much better way to have written this. There's a much tighter way to have scripted things out. I'm with you guys on, I'm certainly not going to complain about Monica Bellucci's casting, but that's a character that didn't need to be there. It just, and it's okay ultimately. There's a few decent gags. Different stuff's going to land differently for different people. I was kind of nonplussed by the whole thing, but a lot of that has to do with there's two things about this that really kind of derailed my enjoyment of the film. I'm gonna be honest, Jenna Ortega not believing in, like, Astrid thinking that her mom's a fraud is just stupid.
Why?
Because everyone else knows she, like, should have at least. Lydia's not alone. Like, Delia is on board with ghosts. Like, this is not just one person like committing to a bit so hard that you've messed with your kid. There's like other people who lived through what happened.
Okay.
Who can?
It's a little hard to hear at times, but I think Mick's trying to interject.
Well, let me bring this up to you. Like, with the idea of ghosts in general, like in our world, you have all those shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, whatever. You have two sides of people being like, I believe in ghosts or I don't, kind of thing. So I can totally believe that Jenna Ortega's character, Astrid, wouldn't believe in ghosts, thinks her mom's a hack or whatever, because her mom has this big production TV show, and that's the problem many anti-fans have for those ghost shows, because they're like, oh, it's all staged.
The other key element of this is the reason why she doesn't believe her mom really sees ghosts is because she can't see the dad. And a lot of their dysfunction, a lot of the problem with their relationship stems from the loss of the father.
Exactly. There's that line at the funeral. Oh, so the only ghost you can't see is the one is dad or something like that. So yeah, again, Astrid is not able to process her grief.
I'm fine with that. I don't object to the emotional beat.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's stronger if she thinks her mom's legitimate and just is pissed at her for not being able to talk to her dad.